The woman endured excruciating pain to give birth, only to be horrified when she saw that her baby was born with a deformed arm. At first, she blamed herself, her smoking, drinking, and frequent hair treatments, her overall reckless lifestyle. But soon, she noticed something even more disturbing. More and more children in town were being born with birth defects. It was as if a dark curse had fallen over the entire community, and all signs seemed to point to one culprit: the industrial wastewater from the nearby plant. The town of Colby was supposed to be getting a fresh start. After the local steel company shut down due to resource depletion, it left behind an environmental disaster. Fortunately, the Stewart Corporation stepped in, planning to transform the area into a tourist destination. But there was a catch. The old steel mill had buried tons of toxic waste beneath the ground. The moment construction began, those deadly chemicals would be released into the town's air and water supply. Ted, a recent college graduate, was one of the first to notice the dangerously high levels of heavy metals in the area. He also saw that the trucks transporting waste never cleaned off the toxic sludge and didn't even bother covering it with tarps. How could this possibly be safe for the people living here? He tried to report his concerns to the head of the transport company, but as a newcomer, he was no match for the seasoned businessmen running the operation. Instead of taking him seriously, they mocked him for being naive. Meanwhile, in another part of town, a woman named Carrie was in labor. After months of anticipation, she finally heard the sound of her newborn crying. But then, a group of doctors suddenly rushed into the room, their faces tense. Sensing something was wrong, she begged her husband to find out what was happening. Moments later, she was hit with a devastating reality. Her baby was born with a deformed right hand. A heavy silence filled the room as she and her husband struggled to process the shock. The doctors suggested that when the child grew older, they could perform a surgical procedure to transplant one of his toes onto his hand, giving him some ability to grip objects. But the road ahead would be grueling, countless surgeries and astronomical medical bills. And just when she thought things couldn't get worse, she woke up the next morning to find her husband packing his bags. Without a word, he loaded his things into the car and drove away, abandoning her and their newborn child. Now, she was left alone to face an uncertain future.